One of the things that we can struggle with as we start trying to pay attention to our relationship dashboard and trying to feel our feelings and figure out what they mean is we become aware of the fact that our emotions feel very muted. Like we just don't feel things very strongly. And when that happens, oftentimes we not only feel disconnected from our own hearts, we feel disconnected from other people as well. Why does that happen, and what can we do about it? Hi everybody, this is Greg from Heart Tools, where we make it simple to build great relationships. And in our last video, we talked about how we need to be able to feel the full range of our emotions, in that we need to be able to feel every distinct emotion because each emotion is signaling that something different is happening in our world with the people and the things that we love. In this video, we're going to talk about how we need to be able to feel the full range of intensity in each emotion. For example, with anger, we need to be able to feel miffed. If something minor happens, like someone cuts in front of us in line, to feeling furious if someone threatens the safety of our children. And the reason we need to do that is because the intensity level of the emotion is there to tell us how urgent this is. Is this something that I need to deal with right now? How important and urgent is it? And what's the level of response? And so if someone cuts in front of me in line, it's not urgent. I may decide no response at all. I'll let it go. If someone's threatening my kids, that's very important. It's very urgent. I need to deal with it right now in the appropriate fashion, right? And so the intensity signals something as well. But here is the problem that we experience. The upper range of intensity in many of the emotions can be painful, it can be overwhelming, and it can seem very dangerous to us, particularly if in our past that intense emotion was expressed in destructive behavior. For example, if we grew up in an environment where when someone got really, really angry, they also got abusive and it was very scary for us, then intense anger can feel very dangerous to us. And so what we try to do then is we try to just isolate that emotion and say, I'm never going to feel angry because I don't want to be like that person and I don't want to have my kids to have to go through what I went through. So we try to isolate that emotion and turn its intensity from a 10 all the way down to a 1. I'm never going to be as angry as that person. I'm never going to be as sad and depressed as that person because I know what that did to me, right? And so we try to turn it down to a 1, but that often creates more problems than it solves. And here's why. It's because your heart, my heart, it works as one master dimmer switch. We don't have a dimmer switch for each separate emotion. We have one master dimmer switch for our heart. And so if we turn our anger from a 10 down to a 1, we're also turning our happiness down. And so we get to this point where we feel very disconnected to our heart, where our emotions feel muted. And I don't get angry a lot, but I also don't get excited about this next promotion that I'm going to get. I don't get euphoric on my wedding day. I don't feel this just intense delight at watching my kids play. And so to get to this place where we no longer feel muted in our emotions, but we actually feel connected to our own hearts, and we feel like we can connect our hearts to other people's hearts, what we have to do is identify the emotion that we have been trying to avoid and shut down, and we need to learn to experience a fuller range of intensity in that emotion. For example, if I have turned my sadness from a 9 or a 10 all the way down to a 1 or a 0, either because I grew up with someone who was constantly sad and it damaged me a lot and I'm never going to do that to anybody, or maybe it's because I've experienced this loss that I realize is so painful I don't even want to go there, so I just shut things down so I don't have to feel sad. Whatever the reason, there could be all kinds of reasons. What happens then is I turn the rest of my heart down, and what I need to learn to do is feel more sad. I need to learn to feel the appropriate level of sadness for each loss that I experience. And a lot of times what we do when someone's sad like that is we try to cheer them up, right? And we say, hey, you should go for a walk. You should, engage in a hobby. You should do something. And we act like they have a happiness problem, and they don't have a happiness problem. They have a sadness problem, right? If that's us, we have a sadness problem. And what happens then is when we learn to feel sad, when we learn to grieve, experience the grief and grieve things that we've lost, then the rest of our heart comes back to life as well. And so to grow in this area, we need to practice feeling the feelings that we are shutting down. Whatever it is that I've turned, from a 10 all the way down to a 1, I need to learn how to tolerate experiencing that emotion, which means we're going to have to learn to tolerate painful feelings, and we need to learn how to tolerate feelings that might feel dangerous to us. Now, the tool that we're going to use to practice this is the same tool we used in the last video, and that's restoring your heart to factory settings, right? Restoring your heart to the way it was intended to work. And so you're going to take whatever it is, that emotion you've been avoiding, and you're going to go through the same 3 stages. And the first is you're going to visualize yourself feeling that feeling, but this time you're going to visualize yourself feeling it 1 degree more intense than what you're used to, right? Just 1 degree more intense. You're going to visualize yourself being aware of what that means. This emotion means this, and that will help it feel, I think, a little bit safer, because you realize there's a purpose to this feeling. It doesn't have to be destructive. It doesn't mean life is over. It doesn't mean I'm a bad person, I'm going to hurt people, right? This emotion means something. And then visualize yourself taking the appropriate action, whatever that is, depending on the emotion. Go through those 3 steps. And again, we need to practice visualizing this, because this is going to be almost impossible to do real time if, our entire life we've been doing it the opposite way. So we need some time just to visualize going through this, to practice, so that we get more comfortable with a new behavioral choice when confronted with that emotion. So the goal then is we want to turn our dimmer switch all the way up. And it doesn't mean you're going to always feel every emotion intensely. What it means is you'll have the capacity to feel the appropriate amount of intensity for each emotion. You'll have a capacity to empathize with other people's emotions, whatever the level of intensity that is. And as a result, you're going to feel more connected to yourself and more connected to the people that you love. Simple steps. Practice, practice, practice. That's what Heart Tools is all about.